There are three key financial metrics from the PFS which came out today. The first one is the net present value, which has been done at a very conservative discount rate of 10%. And the net present value is about 1.1 billion Australian dollars, which is fantastic. The capex is also extremely modest at 259 million Australian dollars. And we compare that with some of our competitors, which are twice that. So that's a great outcome. And the real big number is the operating costs. And so we believe that without any byproducts, we're looking at something under $6,000 a ton, which is probably 15% or 20% less than Alpha HPA, with the leaders in the space. But with our byproduct credit, we believe that we can drop that to $4,500 per ton, which would make us the lowest operating cost HPA producer globally, which is a fantastic place to be. As a result of that, we got payback in 2.2 years. And we're making about $170 million per year after tax. And you can imagine that's a very large cash flow for the life of mine. So excellent figures. So Lake Hope, which is about 500 kilometres east of Perth, here in Western Australia, is a salt lake. It's dry for about 10 months of the year. And in the top 2 meters of that lake are a set of sulfate minerals. They're evaporites. They've formed from rainwater that's come in, mixed with materials from the surrounding rocks and evaporated. As a result, the material is incredibly fine-grained. It's nanometer to micron scale material, which means that we can dig it up with a truck and a shovel, and then we can stick it on the side of the lake and take it straight to Perth. It doesn't need any on-site beneficiation, no crushing, no grinding, drilling or blasting. So as a result, our operating costs for mining and trucking to Kwinana are something like $170 per HPA ton, which is just a ridiculously low amount. And so the nature of the materials, the sulfates that are in there, they also dissolve very readily in alkaline and acid leaches, which again brings the operating costs down, and all driven by the natural nature of Lake Hope. So the HiPurA acquisition, which we made back in April, from the ruins of one of our competitors in the HPA space. Interestingly, the feedstock for that particular technology is aluminium sulfate, and lo and behold, Lake Hope has got aluminium sulfate in it. And then at the back end, we're also very familiar with the way the material comes out of the HiPurA process to produce the HPA. So there's a lot of synergies between Lake Hope and the HiPurA technology. And so what we'll be doing in the next stage is to look to see if we can bolt on Lake Hope to the HiPurA process and see if we can get a cheaper feedstock to the entire HiPurA technology. The other key thing about the technology is that it's modular. We believe we can scale up for tens of millions in capital expenditure, not hundreds of millions. And that itself would be a fantastic advantage in any industrial mineral, but high purity alumina in particular. So we're kicking into a definitive feasibility study. As I say, two parts to that. So one is the integration of Lake Hope and HiPurA, and the other one is also just pushing along a little bit with the Lake Hope in its own right. And the reason for that is that we have a federal government research grant, a co-fund grant of about $2.9 million of co-funding for a $6 million project. And that is based around membrane technology, which is being pioneered in the mining industry by Edith Cowan University. And we're also working with our engineering firm, CPC Engineering, who did the engineering studies for the PFS, looking to implement these membranes in our flow sheet to clean up the liquids at various parts of the flow sheet, both at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end, and also recirculating and regenerating some of the reagents that we use. We believe those membranes can also be put into the HiPurA process at various points. And all of that is actually going to drive down our operating costs even further. So we hope that by the end of the DFS, we'll have an even cheaper source of HPA, and again look to get a market entry with that low operating costs.